Hi guys, it's Jeffrey and welcome to a new Bo Reads World video. Today I'm doing a tag video, which is my first ever tag video, which reminds me of this Miranda scene.
I've got to get something to wear. How often do I have a date? Never, it's my first one. First one of the many others I have also had.
Anyway, I'm doing the time and place tag, which was created by Jen Campbell over more than a year ago. I'll link her original video down below. So I'm definitely late to the party, but maybe there will be any hors d'oeuvres left? No? Oh, pity. So there are certain books on your shelves when you see them that you always link to a certain time and place, hence the title of the tag, that you always think, oh yeah, I read this at this moment in my life, or I read this at that place, or on vacation or on holidays. So for this tag I just picked 6 books off my shelf which reminded me of a certain time in my life or a certain place that I went through in my life. So yeah, let's get started. The first book that this tag immediately reminded me of was The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. This specific copy I bought in Budapest a couple of years ago, I think it was 2012 or something, and I had just finished reading The Fault in Our Stars and I wanted something completely different, something non-YA. So I went into a big bookstore, I can't remember which one, but I remember going in there because it was like 47 degrees out there and it was the middle of July and I just wanted something with air conditioning, and then I saw this one. And I knew that Jonathan Franzen was, he's a big name, and I picked it up. So I started reading this in Budapest, but 2 days later we went back home, and I just left it. I had other things to do, but then a month later I went on a road trip with a couple of friends, and this was the book that I took with me, and I read this in Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, Italy, France. This book just went with me everywhere, and every time I see this book I'm just reminded that this book just went with me through like 11 countries or something like that. Me just sitting in the back seat reading his books, and every time I looked up there was a different kind of landscape outside or something noteworthy to see. So when I see this book I'm reminded of Swiss mountains, Italian lakes, French cities. I don't know, it's a bit, it's Europe in a nutshell for me, which is a bit ironic because this book takes place in the Midwest, so in a way I was even further broadening my horizons during that road trip, so yeah, quite the experience. Then we have another chunker, and that's The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This reminds me of Edinburgh. I spent a couple of months living there, trying to be a journalist abroad, which in the end didn't really work, but I just remember the first few weeks in Edinburgh when I didn't really know anybody, and it was just me spending my evening reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and I always get a bit of a warm fuzzy feeling when I see this on my shelves because it was the middle of February, and those who have been to Edinburgh know that February, well, the whole winter in Edinburgh is really tough and really cold. So it was just me by the fire reading this book, and I don't know, just gives me warm fuzzy feelings, even though that my adventure abroad didn't really work out. But sometimes failing is a good life experience too, and I had Dante to accompany me through it. Speaking of times when things didn't go so well, when I was studying journalism, I had a year that things really weren't going all that great, and I was on the verge of just giving up and doing something else, or I don't know what I was going to do, but I wasn't feeling that well and everything was just, well, you know how it goes. And then I decided, well, a friend of me suggested that we just take a week off, just go somewhere, and we went to Poland, which was a whole new experience for me. We had a lot of talks about the future and what we wanted to be and what we thought capable of doing ourselves, and one day we just went into an old English bookshop, and there I found Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal by Jeanette Winterson. And the message in this book also leans towards how I was feeling at that time, because you don't want to please everybody, you just want to do your own thing, but also finding yourself whilst doing the things that you love, and Every time I see this on my shelf, I'm just reminded of that week in Poland, just putting things back into order, knowing what was right for myself. Every time I see this book, I'm reminded of that, which is a very great feeling. A book which I read last summer and talked about extensively on this channel, and that's A Little Life by Hanya Yanigihara. And this doesn't really remind me per se of last summer, but more of just me sitting on the bathroom floor crying my eyes out after having read the last page. And for me that's very unusual. I don't think I've ever cried at a book before, and then this book came along and I was just weeping, sitting on my bathroom floor, crying like a little child. And when a book is capable of doing that to me, I'll always remember that. So when I see this on my shelves, I just picture myself sitting on that bathroom floor at 2 AM on an early August morning. So, yeah, little life. And the penultimate book is The Luminaries by Eleanor Catton. I read this 3 years ago when I was starting my new job. Well, it's not that new anymore, but I just remember feeling very nervous and wanting to prove myself, and this was the book that I read every day going to and going from work on the train. For me, this book really symbolizes one of the first moments that I felt that I could have a career in doing what I loved and doing something worthwhile, something that I really believed in. And every time I see this on my shelf, I'm reminded of just, turning into an adult. And then finally we have a Norwegian book, and that's Jeanette by Per Petterson. And this reminds me of starting my book club like 3 years ago, I think. And even though that's not the most grand moment in my life, it just reminds me of finding people that also just love to read books, because before that I was always, reading books and talking to people about them, but nobody had ever read the book that I had read. And now every 6 weeks I'm guaranteed that the book that I've read I can talk to about people. I remember starting the book club by just messaging a few people and just being afraid that they were going to say a book club, what young person wants to do a book club, but they were all very excited. And this is the first book that we read for that book club, so every time I see this book on my shelves, I'm always reminded of just starting something new in my life and really enjoying it. And it all started with this one. Those were the 6 books that I wanted to talk about in this tag. I'm not going to tag anybody because I think that everybody just did this tag a year ago, but if you haven't done this and you would like to do it, then by all means go for it. If you have any comments on the books that I just showed you, or any memories about your own books that you would like to share, please do, and we'll talk about it in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!